video.
Really? What?
Oh, just some scary movie.
You like scary movies?
Uh-huh.
What's your favorite scary movie?
I don't know.
You have to have a favorite. What comes to mind?
Halloween. You know, the one with the guy in the white mask who walks around and stalks babysitters?
Yeah.
What's yours?
When we talk about the greatest horror films ever made, Scream is always on the list. Written by Kevin Williamson and directed by Wes Craven, the 1996 film single-handedly reinvented the once-dead slasher genre for a new generation. While most might hold the film in high regard as an all-time great, it's not usually seen as one of the scariest movies ever made. Ghostface is indeed frightening, but the tone isn't as dark as, say, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Scream aims to be fun. You get anxious, you jump, but then you laugh. There's no fun to be found in a backstory, though, for Kevin Williamson was inspired to pen his most famous creation after watching a show about one of America's most heinous serial killers. He may not be as notorious as Jeffrey Dahmer, John Wayne Gacy, or Ted Bundy, but Daniel Rowling, known as the Gainesville Ripper, was just as demented. In August 1990, he went on a 4-day murder spree that would leave 5 Florida college students dead. 4 years later, an aspiring screenwriter was watching an ABC show called Turning Point about the Gainesville Ripper's crimes that left him so shook that it inspired him to write a screenplay that would later become Scream. Though the Gainesville Ripper wasn't a teenager, nor did he prank call his victims or wear a mask, he planted the seeds of fear in Williamson's mind, creating a feeling inside of him that he wanted to recreate on the page. Daniel Rowling's rampage started on Friday, August 24th, 1990, when he stealthily broke into a Florida apartment in the middle of the night where 2 young college students slept. He found one Christina Powell on the living room couch asleep. He watched her, but he did not strike. Instead, he moved upstairs and found Sanja Larson asleep in her bed. He woke her, taped her mouth shut so that Christina would not hear, then stabbed her to death. He then moved back downstairs, sexually assaulted Powell, and killed her as well. He posed their bodies for the police to find, and if that wasn't sick enough, he took a shower in their bathroom before he left. The next night, he struck again, this time entering the home of Krista Hoyt. What made this part of the case even more creepy was that Krista wasn't home, so Rowling patiently waited in her apartment alone for her to come back in the morning. When she arrived, he bound and assaulted her before stabbing her to death. He posed her body too, but this time took it an extra gruesome step by cutting off her head. After the weekend of horror, citizens were left in a state of shock. The crimes reminded many of Ted Bundy, who had killed several Florida college students in 1978. Rowling sadly was not done.
Surprise, Sydney.
Just 2 days later, on Monday, he broke into another apartment. He first made his way to the bedroom of Manny Tabota, where he murdered him. This would be the first time in the spree that he had attacked a man. His roommate, a woman named Tracy Paulus, was in another room. When she heard Tabota trying to fight back against Rowling, she went to the bedroom where she too was attacked. She was briefly able to get away to her bedroom and lock it, but Rowling broke through and stabbed her to death. Just as with his other female victims, Rowling posed Paulus, but he did nothing with Tabota, which showed that he must have intended for all of his victims to be female and he wasn't expecting Tabota. The clues stopped there, but then Rowling made a fatal error, one that many killers have made. He couldn't shut up. While in Shreveport, a Christian couple, Cindy and Steve, befriended Rolling at their church. They even invited him to their home several times, but quickly discovered that he was a demented mind that they needed to get away from.
Formula to it. A very simple formula. Everybody's a suspect.
In an ABC News interview in 2021, Cindy recounted her friendship with Rolling. He'd come over every night for a while, and then one night, Stephen came in, and he goes, he's got to go. Rolling had told Steve that he had a problem, and that Steve asked what he meant. Rolling told him that he likes to stick knives into people. The Shreveport murders had already happened by this time, but Cindy dismissed his comments. When the news went out nationwide, however, that investigators suspected both crimes to be the act of the same man. The Florida location made her remember something else about Rolling that she couldn't let go of. He always told us, "One day, I'm going to leave this town, and I'm going to go where the girls are beautiful, and I can just lay in the sun and watch beautiful women all day," Cindy said. She called Crime Stoppers and told them, "I think there's one guy y'all need to investigate. Danny Rolling." Her call came just in time, because not only would this affect others from becoming potential victims, but it also may have saved the life of a Florida man named Edward Lewis Humphrey. He had been arrested for beating his grandmother and was now being looked at as the suspect number one in the Gainesville murders. Though he would later be cleared, some think he was Rolling. Daniel Rolling is captured and convicted of his crime's accomplice. Investigators didn't have much to do to find Rolling. He was sitting in a jail in Ocala, Florida, where he'd been since robbing a grocery store months earlier, just a week and a half after the last murders. Everyone now knew why the killings had stopped. It turned out a bank had been robbed on the same day as another murder, too. With this connection, investigators looked over evidence, including tape and tools from the robbery, and discovered that they matched what had been used in the killings. Not only that, but Rolling had type B blood, and in another sloppy confessional move, he had talked about his crimes in a diary they found. Rolling was arrested and put on trial. It was discovered that Rolling had suffered severe and constant abuse from his father, which may have helped explain a little bit where his madness came from, but it would not save him. Daniel Rolling was found guilty of his crimes and sentenced to death. On October 25, 2006, he was executed. In 1994, as the trial for Rolling was underway, ABC aired their show about it. Kevin Williamson was watching. While the screenplay he wrote was not about the Gainesville Ripper, it was about the fear he felt that night. Williamson then passed that fear down to all of us. We've been living with it ever since.
Do you want to die, Sydney? Your mother sure didn't.